Hi, this is Sergeant Beach Larson. I'm going to talk about use of force report writing. I'm going to break this down into maybe 3 to 5 videos so that it's not really long and I can explain. And I'm going to explain it by talking through a scenario. Now, you've had some use of forces in your experience so far, I'm sure. And each time you do it, the reports are completely different usually. It's not the same. And it's not a simple fill in the blank kind of thing either. So I'm going to kind of talk a story, explain what I wrote as an example, and we'll try and keep this short and then we'll move on to another video. Now, police and correction officers write them differently. The things are different. What you need to remember though, whatever you're writing on paper, write it like you're going to testify in court 2 to 5 years later. Don't write it just to turn into somebody and appease them for the day. For instance, in law enforcement, we would talk about, if I was getting ready to arrest a guy and he started resisting, I may say things like, with my right hand, I did Gerber slap, brachial stun on the right side of his neck, Gerber slap, arm barred with his right arm, put him on the ground, ground stun, or put him off the car, off the trunk, call it car stun. We use words for everything. Everything that happened had a word, had a phrase. And it came from the PPCT manual, pressure point control techniques. In corrections, it can be different from place to place. The county was a little bit more detailed when I worked there, and the prison was completely different. Now remember the video I talked about my first day as a correction officer, that I was in a use of force situation on my first day. This young gang member was told to test me. Hey, there's a new guy here, he's an old guy. You need to test him, you need to push his buttons. And they just didn't know anything about me, didn't realize, my abilities and what I knew, my experience. Remember I told you that I had him on a wall, I was pat searching him. We're supposed to pat search him, take him up to see the captain for an interview with somebody. So he's hands on the wall like this, I'm pat searching him, doing my thing. Hand comes off the wall, I grab his wrist, put it back, put your hand on the wall. Don't come off the wall again. He comes off the wall again. I gave him another warning. And I said, next time you come off the wall, I'm going to put you on the floor. Well, he looked over here, looked at the gang. They was all watching him. And I knew something was about to happen. I was prepared. So by this time, I'd already searched like upper right quadrant. I was down searching on his leg while I came back up real quick to be up around his upper right quadrant again because I knew it was just about to happen. And his right arm came off the wall right where I was. So I grabbed his wrist with my left hand, pow, like that, Gerber slap. I Gerber slap him hard, hit his head off the wall. From there, arm bar takedown, put him on the ground, put his hand behind his back in the hammer lock. Now we talk this way as defensive tactics instructors and practitioners. You talk through these techniques. That's how you learn how to write reports. So I get him on the ground, get both handcuffs on. A partner comes over, we stand him up and walk him out. So I go to write their use of force report, and I say while conducting, pat down search, using a wall, I explain what I just said. I gave him 3 warnings not to come off the wall. He came off the wall again. I did a Gerber slap, wall stun, arm bar takedown on his right arm, placed him on the ground, hand behind the back, in a hammer lock, handcuffed him. And it went up, and the captain and deputy warden looked at it, and he come running down there, just huffing and puffing, just, what's going on? And I said, I wrote a use of force report. I don't want to hear all that stuff. I don't need to know all that. If they find out you did all this stuff to him, you're going to be in trouble. I said, no, I'm not. That's very simple. It's a stunning technique. Gerber slap, stunning technique, wall stun. That means his head hit the wall. So between here and head hitting the wall, I'm stunning him. Arm bar, put him on the ground. The hammer lock is just putting him in a handcuff position, brought the other hand around, cuffed him. Done. 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds max, it's done. Well, I don't like that. I said, okay. Didn't want to disrespect somebody and everybody on my first day. So I said, what do you want me to say? And he said, you need to write something like this. I was pat searching the inmate, first of all, he says, on the above time and date. I was pat searching an inmate. He said, you can put your name at the bottom. That's good enough. So he tells me, right, on the above time and date, I was pat searching inmate so-and-so, GDC number. He came off the wall after several warnings. I assisted him to the ground and put hand restraints on him. He said, that sounds better. I said, it sounds better. It sounds worse. I said, if you can technically explain what you're doing, that sounds better in court. That sounds better to attorneys, because attorneys are smart and they know a lot about use of force. The attorneys know the techniques we're using. They've heard these words before. They want to hear them. They don't want to always hear, inmate spit in my face, I assisted him to the ground. The inmate came off the wall and I assisted him to the ground. Well, I politely had this discussion with the deputy warden, and he said, well, you're going to do it my way. So I wrote it the way he said it, and that was it. Now, here's some important things. I do not like, and I do not recommend when I'm helping anybody, don't write on the above time and date. Don't. Because if the top of the page gets cut off, it gets separated, it gets smeared, you've lost the integrity of what the above time and date is. So on the top part, yes, you write date, time, your name, whatever agency, whatever you might need to fill in. In the blank, the narrative spot, you need to write it again on January 1st, 2020. So you write out the date, write out the time, write out the location, outside of A1. Where outside? Outside of A1 by the control door. Outside of A1 by the corner of the building, southwest corner. You need to bring this down to isolate this as best as you can. The date, the time, and exact location. Give directions. Because from those directions, if need be, you can pull a map up. And if you say the southwest corner, you look at the map, okay, here's north, southwest corner is over here. So now it's going to corroborate where you were if your offense is involved in a takedown, or the search, or the wall, or maybe a pipe, or a fire hydrant. So the more exactly specific you can, that's where you need to put your location. That's how you start off a use of force report. Not on the above, not anything assuming, but it's factual. Remember, this is a fact, and you don't put your opinions in here. So I wrote on such and such, on whatever date that was, just say January 1, 2020, I, Officer Larson, comma. So now I've got exact date, exact time, my name, 1600 hours, 4 p.m., whichever you guys write. Put it down exactly. Exact is very important. Attorneys, they'll tear these things to shred in court if you're not precise. I was pat searching. I was sent. I always explain how I got to be in that location legally. And this is really important as a police officer. As a correction officer, it's your job to be inside the dorm. It's your job to be everywhere where the inmates are. So you already have that legal right, because every place there is yours. It's your place. The inmates, the prisoners, detainees don't have a legal right. It's not their house. They're being housed there, but they have no claim to it. Does that make sense? Now, if you're a police officer and I'm in the use of force in a house, I would say on January 1st, 2020 at 1600 hours, I, Officer Steve Larson, was dispatched by Boone Center Dispatch, by State Patrol, by the City Dispatch Center, by whoever, or I was sent to this location by my Lieutenant John Doe. Tell them exactly how you were sent there and why. I was sent there by this person for a disturbance, for loud noise, for dogs barking, for shots fired, for a complaint of a loud party. Put why you're there. Then the attorney can't come back and say, oh, you just showed up, you're just trying to crash the party, you're doing whatever. No, dispatch sent me there. Lieutenant or Sergeant so-and-so sent me there. The sheriff called me, he's at home and it's on his street. And the neighbors complained to him and he called me directly working that area. However, that's fine, write to sheriff. Sheriff told me to go. Loud party complaint, I go there for a loud party. Upon arrival, I observed, I found. What did you see, observe, and find? Now in the prison, that first day I went, I put on there, I found inmate so-and-so and his cellmate inside the cell. We asked them both to step out, instructed both of them, put their hands on the wall, spread their feet, you know, get in a position. We told them we had to pat search both of them, and then just inmate so-and-so was going to the captain's office. So I explained who sent me. The captain sent me down there to do what? To pat search both inmates for weapons. I wrote that on there. Then inmate was going to be so-and-so taken up there. So you explain this. Justify your legal reason to be there. That makes a big difference. Now I know I'm getting talking, but does that not sound better than on above time date, Officer Larson went to the house, arrested John Doe. He got in a fight. I threw him on the ground. That really doesn't tell you why you're legally there, who sent you there. I responded. You can respond on your own. You can tell yourself to go, so you're following your own response. That's why it's important to say dispatch or the sergeant, lieutenant, whatever, sent you there. This is starting to make a little bit of sense to you, doesn't it? So that's how I wrote my report. Explained everything, why I was there. This is the one that he didn't like. Great detail. It was very long. He's like, you just need to cell. I went to the cell, got him out, pat search. He came off the wall. I assisted him to the ground. He wanted everything in about 4 sentences or less. And I found out with this deputy warden, he wanted everything to be about this much, 4 to 5 sentences, short paragraph, and that's it. You got to do what you're told to do. You know, I remembered I went home and wrote down what happened on a piece of paper, and I kept it for a while just in case anything came up. Now, how does that sound? That's just the beginning. I'm going to stop here. The video number 2, writing use of force report number 2, I'll explain a little bit more about some more scenarios. Hit the like, hit the share. Don't forget to hit that red button because you don't want to miss these stories. And they're going to build up to some wild meth, bath salt fight that's coming soon.